In this episode of Film Stock Reviews, I'm reviewing episode 4 of season 2 of Chucky, titled Death on Denial. This episode was directed by Don Mancini, and it's really, really something you need to see in order to enjoy, because this is probably the most interesting, eccentric episode I've seen in a horror TV show, and especially for this series. Glenn and Glenda come in order to see their mom, Jennifer Tilly, or Tiffany for that matter, to, find out what's going on, what's happening. And Glenn and Glenda are an amazing duo. And the actress that plays Glenn and Glenda, Lakeland Watson, is absolutely phenomenal. Glenn has long hair while Glenda has short hair. They're non-binary and they go by they, them. Really, really well done. Now, Glenda tells Tiffany that she's been having a recurring nightmare, and we see a flashback scene to a few of the Chucky movies that happened, and Glenn and Glenda also reveal that they've invited over Tiffany's friends and family. And it's funny because the surprise guest stars and people that are in this is absolutely amazing. Gina Gershon, Joe Pantoliano, Sutton Stratt, and Meg Tilly. Yes, Jennifer Tilly's real-life sister. They're working together for the very first time in their careers, and what better way to do so than in this series? Now, the aspect of everything is great because Jennifer Tilly is friends with everyone. We know Gina Gershon and Joe Pantoliano starred in Bound with Jennifer Tilly. That is mentioned in this. Now, Meg Tilly wants to know why Jennifer has been avoiding her for 24 years. So you have that real-life aspect and feud going on. Now, this does have a neo-noir feel to it, because the way this episode starts is Chucky is kind of giving an overcap and review of what's going to happen in this episode. He kind of has his own show in a way, and he's making fun of his show, and he's talking to the audience, and they're, laughing with him and everything, and it's really, really great. I'm trying to process everything because this was a very fun episode. Now, Jeeves, the butler, who was hired for the night, kind of quickly aggravates the guests with, kind of negative comments toward Joe Pantoliano, Gina Gershon, Sutton Stratt, and even Glenn and Glenda, because, whole aspect of what's going on. Jeeves dies, and all of a sudden this whole mentality, and it takes a turn as a murder mystery party now, where we find out who killed the butler and what happened and the aspect of things going on. And then it just turns into this 5-act structure in this episode where it's like Clue, and it's really interesting. Everything happens for a reason, and a flashback in a way from 3 months ago further reveals that Glenn and Glenda found out that Nika is in the bedroom and that she's tied up, and then somehow Glenn and Glenda see that they have to get away from certain things and have to help Nika. Well, Glenn accidentally cuts her finger, and then Chucky comes forward because the sight of blood changes Nika into Chucky. And Chucky's like, listen, hey, I missed you, shit face, and I meant it as loving. And basically in the present, Glenn tries to usher Nika out of the house, but the sight of Joe Pantoliano being shot dead changes Nika into Chucky. And then we find out that Glenn helps Nika try and kill Tiffany, and all of a sudden Nika has bionic arms, and then she escapes because of the help of Glenda, I want to say. It's very trying to understand the two aspects of it is really interesting. And then as Nika's escaping on her wheelchair, this car pulls up with a wheelchair accessible thing coming out, and then all of a sudden she gets in, and we see that the person driving the truck is Kyle. Kyle is alive. So which means that, is Andy alive? It goes to show. And now Glenda kind of, in a way, goes with them and says that Glenn stayed back in order to try and figure out what's going on with the mother. And then all, the aspect of everything, and it just happens. And while Jennifer Tilly or Tiffany is trying to look for Nika, Gina Gershon makes her move on her. The aspect of the history those two had, where they kind of had a relationship, and then Gina Gershon does her thing, and then the close up of a scene from their movie Bound, which happened. And then Joe Pantoliano comes in and tries to make his move on Jennifer Tilly or Tiffany. And then he's like, no, something happens, this and that. But then in the background, the great Easter egg, you see a poster for the movie Bound hanging up on the bedroom wall. And it's funny. It's great. Seeing these actors and actresses in this episode was really fun. And then Chucky reveals to the audience that Glenda killed Jeeves while Gina used up the bullets to kill Joey because of the whole, love and passion thing. And at the end, Chucky does explain everything. But then in order for him to explain everything, he needs help. And special guest WWE superstar Liv Morgan makes her appearance in this, and it's great. And we find out that the word fuck is only able to be used 10 episodes, 10 fucks per episode. So, listen, watch this episode, because this is my favorite episode of this entire series by far. Definitely had that nice murder mystery feel, that neo-noir feel to it. Comedy mixed with horror, mixed with interesting aspects, and it was fun to see. The callback to the movie Bound with Gina Gershon, Jennifer Tilly, and Joe Pantoliano. Even Sutton Strack was great in this, and then seeing Meg Tilly in a show after a long, long time was really, really fun. Seeing that they played on the idea of Meg Tilly and Jennifer Tilly still having their feud, real life feud after all these years. This was great. I had a fun watching this episode. What other thing can you do? It's really fun. And at the end of the episode, Chucky says, hey, even though guys really didn't see much of me, stay tuned for next week when I make my appearance and try and manipulate and finish off these dumb kids. Listen, I can't stress enough how great this episode was. Great directing by Don Mancini. The writing was great by Kim Garland and Alex Delisle. It was fun. I've never seen something so well done this way, mixing comedy, horror, murder, mystery, and neo-noir together. And this, speechless. I absolutely had fun watching this. Check this out. If you've never seen this show, please do so. First season is great, but so far, season 2 has been slightly better. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about episode 4 of season 2 of Chucky, titled Death on Denial. Did you like the guest appearances? Did you like the special guest star? What did you think about the neo-noir, the comedy feel to it? And now that we know where Glenn and Glenda stay on the side of the mother or the father, where do you think is going to happen now with their story? And, do you think that Andy is alive? Now knowing, spoiler alert, even though I mentioned it before, that Kyle is alive now. And what do you think is going to happen with Nika and the whole aspect of the story? And will Jennifer Tilly or will Tiffany finally meet their demise in this season? Let me know in the comment section below about all the questions I just asked, and let me know what was your favorite part in this episode. And I'll see you all in the next review video. And be sure you tune in next week for my episode 5 review of season 2 of Chucky.